One last thing regarding the plasma membrane of the cell. In some cells, there are these extensions of the cell membrane. And we'll talk about the different types. There's 4 different types. The first type is called microvilli. These microvilli are extensions of the cell membrane, and the idea or the purpose is to increase the surface area of the membrane. You can see here in this image, these microvilli are like long fingers projecting from the cell. And what this does is this allows more exposure to the extracellular fluid. So here's the extracellular fluid, and you can see that by having these extensions, there's more surface area to be exposed to this extracellular fluid. And in fact, these microvilli provide anywhere between 15 to 40 times more surface area than the cells that don't have them. And where you're going to find these are going to be in cells where they need to be exposed to that extracellular fluid, specifically areas where cells may need to absorb things from the extracellular fluid. And if you think about where in our body we need to absorb things, your digestive system is a prime example. And in fact, areas or cells that have a bunch of these microvilli really in a dense or as a dense area, and they look like fringe on a jacket at the microscopic level, of course. These are called brush borders, and we see them in the small intestine of the digestive system, which again is where you've got the majority of absorption of nutrients. So the small intestine is where you're going to see a lot of these microvilli. Another type of cell surface extension is cilia. Cilia are kind of like, they look like hair-like processes. They're about 7 to 10 micrometers, so you can imagine that they can be pretty long. Given that the average cell is 10 to 15 micrometers, it can be a little bit over half the size of a cell. There's 2 main types of these cilia. You have some that are not really motile. They're not moving, so they're non-motile. They're referred to as primary cilium, and you can find them on almost every cell. These are much more common, and they're used to kind of monitor the outside environment. The other type of cilia is more motile, and it is not as widespread. You're not going to find them everywhere, but their job is to move. That's what motile means. The non-motile cilium, some distinct examples, you can find them in the inner ear hair cells, inner ear cells. These cilia can pick up on changes in fluid, which contribute to your balance. So you have fluid in there that when you are moving, these cilia keep an eye, so to speak, on where the fluid is moving to help give you your balance. There's also some cilia that are not motile, but detect differences in light, and those are found in your retina. There are also some that are found in the nose that help detect odors as the air goes past them. The motile cilia, where you find those, you'll find those in the respiratory tract when mucus builds up and you need the cilia to help push the mucus through and get it out of the body. In the uterine tubes, when the egg is coming down the uterine tube, you'll have the cilia that will help push it along. In the ventricles of the brain, where we have cerebrospinal fluid, those cilia will also help move that fluid along. And in the testes, the duct of the testes, you'll have cilia that move to help move sperm out of the testes and into the penis. These motile cilia beat in waves. They sweep back and forth in one direction. The structure of cilia is shown here in the image on the right. It's called an axonomy. It has a core of motile cilium with 2 microtubules. And then it has a ring of microtubules around that core, and it's 9 pairs of microtubules. A third type of extension from the cellular membrane is the flagellum. Flagellum is a whip-like structure, quite long. The only place we see it in humans in a functional form is the tail of the sperm. And it has an axonomy similar to that of the cilia that I just described, but it's much, much longer. The movement of the tail of a sperm is going to be undulating or somewhat corkscrew. So the sperm require this flagellum in order to get to the egg. It's a long journey, and they need that type of tail to get them through all of the fluids and reach the egg. And finally, the other cellular extension that we have, cellular surface extension, is known as a pseudopod. Pseudopod can kind of come in different forms, but because they are continually changing. So they vary in size and shape, and they are extensions that happen when the cell needs to move. Oftentimes we'll have something like white blood cells or other types of cells that need to get to, they can detect a foreign body and it needs to be removed. And so the pseudopods help the white blood cell get towards or get to this foreign object, bacteria or virus. And then they also can change shape to wrap around these foreign particles and envelop them and either destroy them or use them to alert other cells of the immune system.